Welcome to another photo mishmash. I'm Christina.
And I'm Toby.
And this is episode 23.
Triple threat. We got camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Oh yeah. That's Christina's like, okay, I'm gonna go along with this laugh.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's talk about some sponsors, affiliates, partners.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I mentioned David and his amazing photo safaris last week. I want to emphasize, not that there were any questions or concerns about this, but safari is often associated with Africa. You know, you think going to, no?
Yeah, and animals.
But I just want to make sure people know that we're talking about all over the world.
And the United States.
And the United States. Right now, David and his wife are headed to Montana for some amazing late spring, early summer. Gosh, it's summer in like 2 days, isn't it? Here in the Northern Hemisphere. And they work with a guy out of Montana that has animals that born and bred in captivity, so I feel good about that. I don't like the idea of wild animals being captured for photographers' pleasures, but these are animals that can't be released to the wild, and an opportunity to make some amazing photos. So that's happening right now, but we're talking about maybe this fall spending a little time with him in Italy. And then I already mentioned the Montana and Yellowstone trip in the spring. And he's just now starting to release, David, information about their Czechoslovakia and Germany tour, the Alps, that beautiful countryside in June, late June, about this time in a year, right?
Yeah.
June 17th, July 1st.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's actually starting to fill up. But link right down below to his information and get on his newsletter as well, because these tours, they're very small.
They sell out really fast.
And one of the nice things is he and I talked, and I've been looking at other photo tours as we've been discussing this, and you know, I just want to make sure that when I'm talking and recommending something, it really is the real deal. And one of the nice things about his tours is it's a 5-to-1 instructor to attendee ratio.
Yeah.
That's great. You go on those Nikon tours, they're much closer, in the Canon too, the professional tours, they're much closer to 20-to-1. So again, you've got that, you're in the back behind a bunch of people, or you're elbowing your way to the front and saying, how do I do this? No, you got hands-on opportunities with some great photographers. And keep it in mind that in the future, we may be along on one of these tours with you as well.
Yeah.
Which would be a lot of fun.
We're definitely very, very intrigued by the Germany and Czechoslovakia trip. It sounds like a fun one. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see if we can make that work.
Amazing scenery.
Yeah, and so just sign up for their newsletter.
Yep.
That's how they announce their trips. So if you want to be in the loop and learn about them right away, then.
And wouldn't it be nice to hear a little bit directly from them about how they got started and how they got started in travel photography?
Yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
So hopefully in talks to run a little interview, a little discussion with David and his wife Allie sometime in the near future. So give you all some more information. And even if you aren't interested or in these trips, I think they'd be great to hear from as folks that have built this business as wonderful photographers and now take people all over the world.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they've got some tips, tricks on travel photography and packing for travel.
Yes.
Good?
Definitely.
Good.
Okay, so moving on. Week in review. You did some lens reviews this week.
I did.
Right?
So the Tamron 16-300 review went out this week. Got a little sunburn standing in that parking lot, shooting the side of that building over and over and over again. Long story short, very good lens. I was surprised by how good it was for as much focal length as they crammed in there. You certainly make some sacrifices in chromatic aberration, and you know, it's not the sharpest, and probably the biggest sacrifice you make is it doesn't have the greatest aperture range. When you're shooting at 300 millimeters, you are at f6.3.
Right, but there's a lot of compression, right? Because you're at 300 on a cropped sensor.
Yes.
So you still get some really nice depth of field.
Oh yes, I was thinking from the standpoint of light and the amount of light you're letting in.
It's not very fast.
It's not a fast lens, right? So you got to take that into account. If you want a telephoto lens that you're going to be using indoors for like your kids' hockey games, or somebody wrote me for BMXing and they do it inside the warehouses with kind of pitiful light, it's not probably what you want. But if you want to set off into the woods during the day, not in the evening or night, but during the day, and just carry one lens that's going to give you kind of easy macro capabilities to easy telephoto capabilities, it's certainly worth considering.
Definitely.
And this isn't part of Week in Review, but I love to do this and bug Christina. The Tamron has just announced, I haven't published any information about it yet, but they have just announced an 18 to 200. Basically, it's the same lens, but for full frame. You gonna pop that on your camera and head off to the next wedding?
Probably not.
No?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't need another lens.
I wanted something more descriptive than that. Like it's slow, or there's a lot of distortion at the wide end. Yeah, I know. Or for somebody who shoots mostly with 2 to 3 prime lenses, really the only zoom you put on your camera is the 70 to 200, isn't it? Or the only zoom, non-prime. Yep. Okay. I use the 24 to 70 and the 70 to 200.
I use that occasionally.
You do when you need to get very wide.
When there's a lot of people.
A lot of people. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
What else went out? Oh, I'm still working on the 10 to 18. Is that it right here? The 10 to 18 review compared to the Tokina 11 to 16 and the Canon 10 to 22. Yep. Early results suggest that it's a very good lens. Very good. And there is still reasons to buy the Tokina. That f2.8 constant aperture, certainly nice, but I don't see a whole lot of reasons to be buying that 10 to 22 from Canon right now. But I'll have something official probably next week.
And the GH4? You've been working on the GH4.
What to say? There are times...
What not to say?
What not to say? Well, you have to wait for my full review, which, I think that will be out next week as well. I've recorded most of the segments, recorded a ton of sample footage. It's really nice. For photographers, I think most of you watching this are photographers. That's how most of you have found me. Some of you dabble in video. I don't think I have any hardcore videographers watching. Oh, well, anyway. It's a video machine that also happens to take some nice still pictures. But if you're a photographer, there are other cameras in its class that are cheaper and offer slightly better quality. But if you're a videographer and you're looking for packed feature set with amazing quality for the size, it's hard to say anything else.
Yeah.
So
I played with it a little bit yesterday when we were making s'mores on the fire pit, and it was really fun. I don't think I really enjoy shooting video with any camera at all. I mean, it's just really hard, and I feel like I have to keep trying to get the shot because it's not quite in focus, and the focusing ring isn't really quite made for manual focusing. So that's a little bit of a combination of lenses with camera body and the settings of the camera itself or the controls. But with this camera, it was so easy to find my focus, to track my focus. It was really, really fun to use, and I think I created some really nice video in a very, very short amount of time, which was really awesome.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed using it. Yeah. I would like to maybe rent it and take it out and make some fun videos. No, I definitely cannot buy it, but...
Yeah. Yeah, so stay tuned to that. I mean, it's a bit of a daunting camera when you first pick it up with the amount of customizability in the feature set. But then on the other hand, as Christina said, when you just flop it over into manual mode for focus and you start to turn that ring and all of those features just appear on the screen that help you dial in that focus.
Yeah, the focusing ring was really smooth on that lens. Yeah, it was just great. Yeah. But anyway.
A little sad to see that go, and hopefully we'll get it back sometime. Yeah.
So look out for that.
Look out for that.
So that was our week ahead.
That was week ahead. Now I got 2 questions for you all before we end this segment. One is talking about David McKay and the photo safaris and thinking about traveling all over the world. And this has been asked in different places, but I want to hear from you all. Where would you love to go with your camera in hand? You know, I think, well, should we say where I would like? And
my list is way too long,
yeah,
I
my
feel
list
like.
is long too.
Yeah.
New Zealand, Iceland, those are near the top of my list. Italy, Wyoming. We had a lot of fun on the coast of California. It's a lot of pretty places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
So I want to hear
I'd like
from
to go
you
to
all.
China.
Yep.
The rice patties.
Oh yes, the terraced and the rice patties.
Yeah. Machu Picchu.
So leave a comment
Lots
down
of
below. And what was the
amazing
other question I was going to ask? Are you a mind reader? Do you know what I was going to ask?
No, the first one was David McKay, and then the second one.
I know, I lost it. Oh well.
Oh well.
I'll remember it in the next segment. Oh, I remembered what the other question was.
Oh, great. That's fine. Just go with it.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with it. Dave Dugdale, learning DSLR. He asked a good question on Facebook the other day. He said, we're starting to hear more of these rumors about the 7D Mark II, and we've kind of reported on those. We are not hearing anything necessarily video-wise from it, but his question was, do you think Canon will be a game changer here and pack this 7D Mark II full of good video-like features like the GH4 has, with your focus peaking, which we don't have unless you're running Magic Lantern.
What is focus peaking?
That's what allows
the highlights. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is nice.
It is. And give you 4K video. So my question is to you all. Do you think the 7D Mark II will offer some really sweet features like that?
That would be cool.
Should I tell them my answer?
No.
I really want to.
You should wait for next week. We want to hear what they have to say, don't we?
I do want to hear what you want to say, but I want to share what I say. Okay, we're going to wait till next week so you can hear my answer. Will the 7D Mark II be a game changer in video? Question. So you got 2 questions so far. Now let's talk about news.
Okay, great. So Adobe announced some really exciting, some not so exciting things that are coming to Creative Cloud, some new software that they've announced, some which I am kind of looking forward to and
what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm kind of excited about the app. I'm excited about the new functionality in Photoshop. I know that there are a lot more features. I'm sure there's a lot more features they've released that I have no clue about because I just don't really read that much or really follow that along that closely. But I'm excited about the phone app, the mobile app that they've released, because it'll be cool to be able to edit my iPhone photos in Lightroom. Currently I use Afterlight, but I feel like that's a little bit too, I don't know, like
Too pedestrian?
Not pedestrian, no. That's not the right kind of word that I'm looking for. It's just a little bit too artsy. I kind of like to keep my photos more, I don't know, just timeless. I feel like, anyway, I'm going on way too much about that.
While you're doing that, I'm playing with one of the new features that we talked about and actually even ran a demo video from the Adobe folks, and that is the Focus Select. I'm actually not playing with it because even though my Creative Cloud says it has updated, I'm sitting here looking for Focus under Select. The help file has been updated, my Adobe has been updated, but I do not have the ability to select via Focus in my Photoshop. And you haven't updated yet then. So we'll come back. I want to do some demos and talk about that at some point. But that was one of the announcements. We knew that one. I think the big announcement, let's hit the big ones. $9.99 is a permanent deal.
Yes, I am excited about that.
Yes. So $9.99 gets you Photoshop and Lightroom.
It's an amazing deal. It's a great deal. With
the Lightroom Mobile, which is the iPad, and iPhone, which is what Christina was hinting at there. I don't know if you said Lightroom for iPhone. And 2 gigabytes on their Behance network. It's down from 20. So they didn't really mention that, but we don't necessarily use that except for the fact that you do use that for your syncing your catalogs mobile-wise. So if you were somebody who was syncing all that. Now, is this $9.99 permanent deal? Well, I just said it was permanent. Well, you know, this is somebody kind of grumpily, Chris grumpily left a comment on my blog and said, you know, do you know for sure that it's permanent? Well, here's what they said. It's not promotional. sure, something can change at some point in the future, but it's not a deal where in 12 months, exactly after you sign up, it's going to go to $19.99 deal. They're not going to do that. I don't think they're going to do that anytime soon, but you have to also imagine that at some point in the future, they are going to raise their prices. Probably.
Not necessarily. I mean, this is my prediction for what's going to happen after they've done this, is a lot of people are going to get Creative Cloud just for Photoshop and Lightroom, because we have a Creative Cloud account with the entire suite, which is cool because I use InDesign constantly for templates, for designing my pricing, for a lot of things. So I can't ever give that up. I find Photoshop too cumbersome to use for that stuff. But
they did show some changes yesterday that makes Photoshop a better design tool.
Huh, that's interesting. But so the problem we run into is that we have between the two of us, we have three computers that we actively use. And
we're sharing an account right now.
We're sharing an account. We find each other signing each other out. Well, yeah, we're doing it the right way, which is that we're signing each other out of each computer, and we don't have more than two computers activated at a time. But I'm considering now, because this deal has become quote-unquote permanent, getting an extra account or an account of my own for Photoshop and Lightroom, so a separate account, so that we don't have to do that. And I think that a lot of people are going to take this deal and really go along with it, because it is really, it's a great deal. I mean, you pay $10 as you go. It's like having a Netflix account or a Hulu account. It's really not that much, and you get two pretty powerful pieces of software.
You've drunk the Kool-Aid. But I do agree that I think it's a good deal. But I can certainly understand some people who are reluctant to rent software and feel like at some point Adobe's going to pull the rug out from under them. We don't have any indication that they're going to do that. It's not good for business. Yes, they've made some changes in the past that maybe can consider.
Who is saying that? Like, who is untrustworthy of Adobe? I just feel like, why live wearing a tinfoil hat all the time thinking that, like, these companies are out to screw you?
Well, in a lot of ways, they are. I mean, their bottom line
They're
is
out to
money.
make a profit.
They're out to make a profit.
Right. So that's like any company. Like, I'm out to make a profit, but I'm not scamming clients left and right.
Right. You're right. Okay. So tinfoil hat, folks. Let Christina know why she's wrong.
Yes, please tell me why I'm wrong. I will gladly.
I mean, I think there is.
You read the comments
some
and
value.
relay them to me.
Okay.
I don't read comments.
All right. Well, one of the things is they said 2.3 million subscribers to their cloud program. That's a lot. I want to know how many of those are the $9.99 Photoshop Lightroom only, and how many are the whole suite.
I want to know at their next keynote how many users they'll have grown by because of doing this.
Because of the $9.99 deal and saying it's not promotional.
I predict that it's going to be a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, because
they're a targeted prediction from Christina.
A lot. So, and here's the thing also, that I'm sure that there are still a lot of people that were using Creative Cloud illegally because they couldn't afford it. And, you know, that has been one of the things that has driven me to, like, you know, like, pay for stuff. I will say that when I was in high school and I was younger, I may or may not have downloaded some music and some digital stuff through torrent. I don't do that anymore. And it's because it's become so accessible to me, and because of its accessibility, it's become a lot cheaper. And even if it wasn't cheap, I would still pay for it. But I think that a lot of people, a lot of students, a lot of younger people who are creative and want to have access to the software will find it that it's become more available to them. So I think that their user base is going to grow even just that much.
Okay, good. Now, very disappointing. Nothing new for Lightroom. Nothing new about Lightroom in the announcements yesterday. We are getting close to when we should see Lightroom 6. So I was really hoping for something new. Face recognition. I don't know. Faster, better, sleeker.
But they haven't
sexier.
Announced anything?
No. Nothing at all. And so if nothing came yesterday, it's probably going to be a little while before we hear. Otherwise, they would have said, and the Lightroom's coming soon. So
Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay.
So Canon has announced a new EOS utility app for desktop. And I haven't played too much with it. I've watched you use it a little bit. Why don't you tell us your thoughts about it?
Okay. Well, a couple of things. So, you know, and I've been asked to talk about this in the past because Lightroom costs money. Whether you're paying the monthly fee or you're buying it outright, there's a chunk of change. But all of us shooting with Canon and Nikon, I'm going to talk specifically to Canon users, have free software that comes that does a lot of what Lightroom does. Maybe just not as good.
And not a lot of it.
Like what?
Like presets, for example.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so you can, in Lightroom, you can very easily create a preset that you apply to all of your images. You can create a picture style in DPP. So let me finish. So there is Digital Photo Professional, DPP, and there is the Canon EOS Utilities. I have to say that the look and feel of these apps is quite outdated. So I was very excited when I heard 4.0, 3.0, especially for the EOS utility because the Wi-Fi, the 70D is running right there. The Wi-Fi connection direct to the computer, I cannot get it to work reliably. I want to hear from you all. The 70D, have you tried to get it to connect to your PC or Mac? Mostly Mac users I want to hear because that's what we are using. And I just can't. I've talked to the Canon tech. He walked me through something that worked for a while, but then, you know, I'm not too long after I hung up the phone, it just would not connect. So I was excited about that. Installed it. Nothing good. Same old, same old. DPP 4.0 looks a little bit more polished. It does have a lot of those tools available to it, but you have to have the EOS 1DC, the 1DX, the 5D Mark III, or the 6D right now to be able to download that software. It is not available for all Canon owners. This will probably change. This is probably in the early, they're not calling this the beta, but right now you have to plug in a serial number to get this, and I think that's silly, and it's not even that good. So it's just kind of frustrating. I wish Canon would step up their game and offer a really viable alternative to those folks who can't afford Lightroom.
Definitely.
So,
and they've also
it does the job, but it's just if you are making money at this, your time is money, and Lightroom just lets you burn through those pictures so much faster.
Yeah.
Burn in a good way.
Yeah. They've also released this Irista service, or
yeah. So this is interesting, and we're going to talk about this just for a second because we've already been talking for a little while about it, about the other stuff. This is a kind of a social photo sharing network for Canon photographers. It's free, 10 gigabytes free, I believe it is, of storage space. You can throw your images up there. I have, let's check into the computer cam, and we're seeing it right now spinning as it is thinking about sharing an image I put up there.
And I am not making funny faces at the camera.
No, you're not?
Nope.
Why? Okay, so I don't know. Is anybody going to use this? You've got 500 pics. You've got Flickr. Those are cross-platform. You know, you're going to be able to share your images with Nikon users as well.
It's not even loading.
No, I know. It's been stuck like this for hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it on your end or is it on their end?
It's on their end.
Huh.
Because I've tried twice now. Both times. One of the features that's supposed to be cool about this, though, is if you share a picture from here to Flickr and Facebook, it's supposed to be able to pull those comments back all in one. So you could see the Flickr comments and the Facebook comments, but I haven't even begun to be able to get one image to share at all. So, I don't know. It's a nice alternative. It feels a little dated, and it looks a little dated already. And
Definitely does.
They just released it.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens with that.
We'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
That was, you know, who asked about that was Fernando Castello. He asked if we would talk about that. Fernando. So we did. I don't know what else to say about it right now, Fernando.
Nothing.
Okay.
So now we'll move on to our discussion. last week we talked about a very old...
I didn't realize at the time.
Petapixel article, 10 things not to do at weddings. So we thought it would be kind of interesting to do a spin-off off of that and talk about 10 things you should do at weddings.
Yeah, a reply to a 3-year-old article on the internet.
Yes, we're cutting edge.
It'll go viral.
Okay, so let's get started. Do you want to just
alternate reading them?
I was just going to suggest that. All right, you go first.
Oh. All right, so I don't remember who wrote that other article, but they were a little negative on Dan. It was very, for those who didn't watch last week, oh, how dare you. It's a little preachy of like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And these are more do's. You said that.
Just read them.
Dance. You're going to be spending some time on the dance floor at some point during the day. A little feet shuffling, a little head bobbing. Those are okay. It shows the people around you that you're having a good time, you're enjoying what you're doing. That is much more preferred, I think, to someone who's like, in the corner. If you don't, you know, just, I'm talking like, or when Call Me Maybe's on, you can do the little call sign.
No, definitely do not do that. He's clearly done it.
Never. Don't ever, though, put your camera down to bust any moves, because then you're not working and you're being paid to work. So, there you go. That's number 10.
Yeah.
Number 9.
Drink lots of water. Ha. We'll stay hydrated. I do a really terrible job of that, and it shows when I'm trying to direct family portraits and my lips are sticking to each other because I am so dehydrated and my mouth is dry. Probably a little bit because of nerves and a little bit because I'm very dehydrated by that point. But yeah, keep a water bottle in your lens exchanger, in your bag constantly. If you have an assistant, have them remind you to drink water, remind them to drink water. You know, just help each other kind of stay fed and hydrated throughout the day, because you have to take care of those basic needs before you can actually perform. And, you know, shooting a wedding is kind of a physically demanding job. I mean, you're on your feet for at least 8 hours a day, oftentimes in the hot sun, oftentimes running around, you know, catering to other people's needs. So you also need to take care of yourself, at least in that way. It's important that you do so you can perform for your clients.
Yep, good. All right, another one. Learn the bride and groom's name and bonuses for immediate family members, because it's so important. You know, the other article was like, don't. Oh, actually, what I'm supposed to say is,
yeah, you skipped the first part.
I skipped the first part of it, trying to be too smooth. Sincerely offer compliments to the bride and groom. So that other article was like, don't call them babe, don't call them gorgeous.
Duh.
Yeah, that's kind of a duh tip. But compliment them. And we mentioned this last week, so I'm just going to briefly say, compliment them sincerely, because they are going to be good looking, nice looking. They've spent a lot of time and energy to look nice on this special day. And a compliment from the photographer can mean a lot, because it says, oh, hey, this person who's constantly and critically looking at me thinks I look good, and it helps them relax a little bit.
So give a lot of positive feedback.
That's my tip. Oh, go ahead.
No, I know, but I think, and if you can't think of anything, or you think that they don't look awesome, then don't say anything at all, or just say you look like you're having fun, or, you know, such a great day. Just say positive things either about the wedding, about them, but really mean it, because that's the important part. If you say it and you don't mean it, they're going to be able to tell. Like, people can pick up on that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And what I started to say was learn names. Bride and groom, you should have that down. Honestly, if you need to do flashcards on the way to the wedding for bride's name, groom's name, best man, groomsman, brother, grandmother, because when you get to the family groups,
it's going to be a lot smoother.
It's so much smoother to say, Bob, will you move in a little bit, please? If you have to say, hey, you, would you? And then you watch. There are times where I've had to say, because I haven't learned all the names, I say, hey, you. And there's that minute of confusion. Who are they talking to? Drops your professional level down a little bit, and it wastes time. Learn the names. Learn the names. Learn the names.
Okay, so number 4 is if you're having trouble with your equipment and you're experiencing technical difficulties with an off-camera setup with your camera, which actually I have a very specific and current example. Last week, my battery pack wasn't screwed in, and you don't know about this because I didn't tell you, but my battery pack wasn't screwed in properly, so my camera was acting really funny and not working, which caused me to like have to stop and look at what was going on and just trying to fidget around with stuff to get it working again. And it actually made me a little bit nervous, even though I have a backup camera, so I would have been fine. But I didn't know what was going on, so I had to tell them, just give me 1 second. I have to figure out what's happening with my camera. And then it happened again later when I was photographing. This was the first time was when I was photographing families and then the bride and groom. And then I told them, just hang on a minute, relax, talk amongst each other, and let me figure out what's going on. And then I finally figured out what was happening. And if I had just been constantly just trying, I couldn't have just kept shooting. I couldn't have. And I had to just calm down and figure out what was going on with my camera so that I could continue to work. And then I figured it out, and my camera worked perfectly throughout the rest of the day. So I think the important thing about this is just to seem confident. Things don't have to be perfect. They don't always have to constantly work. Stuff happens. Perfectly, yeah. But just be confident. You're diagnosing the issue. You know that there's something going on. You know, nothing, you shouldn't make them nervous about your abilities or skills ever. And it's fine to totally just say, give me just 3 minutes, relax, talk amongst each other, let me figure out what's going on, and then just keep going. I mean, this is most people's first experience with photography, so their expectations, they don't really have many expectations. So just try to seem confident and like you know what's going on, even if you don't, just keep it cool.
Yeah, good. All right. Dress appropriately and never wear shoes that you have not ever worn before. Basically, don't buy those fancy pair of shoes the night before or order them the week before and then wear them at the wedding because your feet are going to be killing you. Oh, I meant to bring my little... I'm excited. I got some jelly insoles for my fancy shoes.
Sad when your life's excitement boils down to getting insoles from your shoes.
Towards the, you know, when we get back in the car at 11, 12 o'clock at night, my dogs are barking.
Yeah, so are mine. And I don't wear heels, but I do wear a little bit of a heel. They're still very comfortable, very sensible shoes, but towards like, you know, like 8 hours of shooting, I'm starting to feel like, oh my God, my feet hurt. You know, that would happen with any shoe, but yeah. So 6, I'm just going to read it because I'm not really sure how to rephrase what you've written, but spend time impressing people with your calm demeanor and strong work ethic, not your mouth and knowledge off camera flash. So yeah, I guess just be modest and don't be talking people up about photography if they don't inquire with you first or they don't talk to you first. If there's a guest that approaches you and wants to talk camera, which there often is, you're not going to be like, no, I'm not going to talk to you. You definitely should at least, you know, humor them and acknowledge and respond honestly if you can. And then if there's something else that you need to prioritize because you are working for the bride and groom, you can just say, excuse me, I have to attend to this, and then, you know, I'll catch up with you later or something like that.
Yep. If someone asks how many weddings you've photographed, be honest. If it's only a few, you can, you know, talk about how other experience that you have, but there's no reason to be dishonest. And again, kind of back to just let your cool, calm, professional demeanor speak for itself. So somebody said, you know, oh my gosh, they told me this is only their second wedding, but they're in charge.
Yeah, I think attitude and how you carry yourself and present yourself throughout the day can tell people a lot about your experience and your confidence and your skills. If you feel really confident and you show confidence, then people are gonna say, they're gonna come up to you, they're gonna be like, you're doing a great job, and you're gonna be like, really? You haven't even seen the pictures yet, but okay, thanks. So, the next one is consider the wedding coordinator to be your ally. And, you know, I don't often get into close contact with wedding coordinators beforehand because I work with the couple directly. I want to be in constant contact with the couple themselves because they're the ones who are going to tell me what they want. But it is a good thing to be on their side, to get to know them personally, to introduce yourself to them, and to form a relationship with them, especially if you work at certain venues often. You know, if there are times when things are running a little bit late and the coordinator's kind of pushing for time, you know, just check in with them, see if they can do anything. If not, I think it's totally okay to check in with the bride and groom, ask them for their opinion without getting them too involved in any kind of drama or pettiness or anything like that. See what they want to do, and then relay that information to the coordinator, because the bride and groom really are the ones that have the final say on what happens, and coordinators are going to be able to overturn that for the most part. But yeah, I mean, try to maintain a good relationship with coordinators. They can be on your side if you know, set up a good rapport with them from the very beginning.
Okay.
I think that's all I had to say on that.
Okay. Number 9. Or do we not have a 10? 9 tips. Did we ever say it was going to be 10 tips?
Yep, we did.
9 tips for your wedding do's. Where's our 10th? All right, number 9. You all are going to come up with the 10th. Number 9. Enjoy yourself. Have a smile on your face, even if it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and your dogs are barking. That's your feet being sore. Have a smile on your face, because that, again, allows people to know that you're enjoying their wedding and their time, and that means something to them. And even if you
are exhausted and tired and you can't stop yawning, like you physically can't stop yawning, still keep smiling after you yawn.
And they take the coffee away. There's that wedding where the coffee went away right at the very end so quickly.
Yep.
Wow.
So number 10 is up to you.
Yeah.
Tell us what things you should, good practices, bad practices at weddings. What do you guys think?
Or a funny wedding story you've seen of a wedding photographer.
Yeah, maybe we'll pick the best 3
and read them next week.
That
sounds great. Good. Now it's time for... Chad wants to know, do we think the major DSLR and system camera manufacturers should fear the quality of today's point and shoot, such as the Sony RX100 Mark III? Chad, I would add to that the camera that's cheaper than that now, that's just announced and coming out at the end of July, the Panasonic FZ1000, a point and shoot that has a 1-inch sensor capable of shooting 4K video. I have a blog post about that on my site. So should Canon and Nikon fear these high-level point-and-shoot cameras?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that people who want DSLRs, they usually know that they want DSLRs. People who are looking for point-and-shoots, I feel like those are slowly just going extinct and being replaced by Micro Four Thirds cameras and cameras like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
I think, you know, if Canon and Nikon, well, they should be scared of the mirrorless format, and they are. We know they are. Canon is trying to figure out how to release something that doesn't cannibalize their own lower end market. The EOS M was offering to the gods, so to speak. I don't know what I'm talking about. In that regards, you know, I think what Canon and Nikon do is they look around and say, who's got the lenses like we got the lenses? We got the lenses, man. You want the lenses? You come to us. We got the lenses. Because that
was a great performance.
Was it? They do. They have this incredible array of cheap to high quality glass. Tons of it. And the third-party makers make tons of different options for them as well. So they got that. But does someone who is considering an entry-level Rebel, should they say, maybe the Sony RX Mark III is good enough, or maybe this Panasonic FZ1000 is good enough? Look at all of its features. And I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to disagree and say they should be scared of it, and it is eating into their lower end market.
Okay.
Which is not their bread and butter, but is how they hook people. And so if they're losing their hook into people, because we both started with Rebel XTs way back. And then it was just kind of logical. Oh, well, we have lenses. We're going to upgrade bodies, keep these lenses. And yeah, you can switch lenses and get rid of them and stuff. And all right, we've gone on long enough with this question, but it's a good one. And I say, yes, they should be scared, both because it's eating into their market and they're losing their hook into the higher end where their money makers are.
Okay. So next question is from Doug Hall. Do you expect to see Canon transition more of its lenses to STM? He would love to see the 50-1.4 in an STM version. I'm going to say yes.
Oh, yes. I was wondering what you're going to say. Not that, I mean, it matters.
I just arbitrarily pick a yes or no.
So what's Canon got for STM lenses right now?
Not sure.
18 to 55, 18 to 135, the 40 prime, the 55 to 250 zoom, and now the 10 to 18.
Right.
We need a nice prime STM. The 40 is very nice, but we need something either wider with IS or more telephoto.
Here's my question. Why did they make a decision to start those STM lenses in the entry-level sort of realm versus a pro? Because
when we talk to our friend Brian, who's a serious videographer, and we go, hey, here's these lenses that allow you to autofocus smoothly and silently, he goes, professionals don't autofocus. Right. That is changing. It is changing.
But as far as like silence focusing, oh, and then the other thing about STM lenses is that they're a little bit funny, like the focusing ring in terms of manual focus. It's not that...
You know what's funny about it is it's very similar to the GH4. That was focused by wire as well on those lenses we were using with it.
But that was a really nice focus.
It did have a much better feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, let's stay on target though, because we have other good questions we want to get to. And say that I don't know if a 50 is going to come because they've already got the 40 and that's pretty close. But my bet would be on a wider prime with STM and IS for your handheld video shooters who want autofocus smoothly. That's my bet next. I don't know what other kind of telephoto-y or zoom lens they could use. Remember when we say zoom, it doesn't necessarily mean telephoto. That's why I stopped and corrected myself. It just means a lens that's not a prime. Okay, good question. Rob's got a question about light meters. Is it worth it to use them while shooting landscapes?
No, don't even bother.
Because you would have to go, I mean, you're going to have to walk out into the landscape where you're shooting to meter the light.
Yeah.
And then take that.
Only real time I would use a light meter is if you're using strobes. And I mean, some people use it for natural light, but I feel like it's a little bit overkill if you're, and this is when they're using film and they are unsure what the actual exposure is going to look like based on the film. So, no.
And so the meters built into the cameras these days are very good.
Very accurate, yeah. So, no.
Okay, good. Craig's question?
Craig Lance says, when do you think Canon will release a camera with an advanced sensor that can compete with the likes of Fujifilm X-T1 and Sony's latest cameras? I don't know. I hope soon.
This is similar to that 7D Mark II question at the beginning of this podcast. Do we think that Canon's going to bust out something amazing? And when I say these things, I don't mean to be down on Canon or Nikon, although we shoot Canon, so that's what we're most comfortable talking about. There aren't necessarily amazingly exciting features in these cameras, but they work very reliably, very consistently, and produce very good results. But at this entry level, I mean, the T5i is using this sensor now that is ancient in terms of digital photography. And so are they going to, and this is where I go back to my little skit of, they look around, they say, people are buying this because the glass and the ecosystem, so we don't have to have the most cutting edge sensor.
But they're going to start suffering. I think they have stuff in the works. I would really, really like to see some really nice sensors coming from Canon, some updated sensors.
I mean, well, the 5D Mark III sensor still is excellent.
Yeah, it really is.
And holds up very well.
Yeah, and how many full frame sensors does Fuji have? I mean, you know, they have like one camera that's full frame.
I believe that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, they're really nice sensors. Are also cropped sensors. So, and also Canon's also looking to move into the medium format market as well, and so they've got a lot of stuff going on. So I don't know. We'll see, and we'll definitely keep you updated.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was just pre-reading the next question. I don't understand it. Knit wants to know, do we have any thoughts, tips, comments on photographing in rain/induced shower with lighting or even underwater?
What is an induced shower?
Do you mean like somebody's, like your, remember you were going to build that shower thing for that. What was that for? What did you want to do?
Some self-portrait back when I was like, self-portraits are awesome.
Yeah. We don't. I have a review of the Dicky Pack waterproof camera housing. We've talked about that. $70, completely waterproofs your camera.
Yeah.
If you also need lighting though in rain, that's not in our experience.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be very careful. You don't want to be putting any plastic baggies. My cheap tip is throw a Ziploc bag around your camera, and that keeps it protected from most showers. You don't want to be throwing a Ziploc bag around a flash, though, because I think you could melt that plastic against it if it was up against it and you're firing it on higher power a lot. No, I don't. Research a little bit. Let us know what you find. Okay.
So the next question is from Martin Jacoby. In addition to Craig's question with, I guess, Craig Lines. With 4K slowly entering the DSLR world with the GH4, for example, when do you think Canon will release a 4K for the masses in the Rebel series? I don't know.
Look at what Canon's got right now. The highest level you can shoot in your even in the 5D Mark III is 1080p at 30 frames per second. You can't even shoot at 60 frames per second 1080p.
Yeah, I think we really need to see what they do with the 70D or the 7D Mark II. That camera has been talked about for a couple of years now.
August is when we should know more.
Yeah, and I think once we know what they're going to do with that, it'll be a lot easier to speculate about what's coming for, you know, high-end DSLRs and entry-level DSLRs, because that's kind of in between. And I think that if it does have very, very just like cutting-edge updates, I don't know, or if they update a lot of the stuff to, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
You need some coffee?
I need some coffee. But
okay.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's on par with existing cameras like the X-T1, the GH4, right. We need to see. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. A lot of video folks are going to be disappointed. I think on the photo side, it's going to be a champ. It's going to do a good job. But I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but it just seems like Canon always kind of disappoints us a little bit, except every once in a while, a major release like the 5D Mark III. Well, even the 5D Mark II line is good. I think it's interesting we're getting a lot of these similar questions. Is this from you all just being aware of what's going on, or is it more because I am reviewing these other cameras and you're going, well, God, I wish my Rebel did that, or you wish, you know, I had this feature.
Yeah.
I just wonder. Okay, good questions. JCB's got one in a totally different direction. It's a great question. In photography, when do you think you can break the rules for the purpose of pure art? Are the rules truly linked to the art of photography, or are these rules just some tips to take good pictures and art comes after that with less constraints? Can a picture be good if it breaks some or even all the rules of photography? Can I say something more onto this? You're going to be teaching a class next week for the local photography, what do you call it? The photography school?
Yep. It's a nonprofit organization.
Nonprofit organization, really neat organization. I actually posted for their Kickstarters from time to time because they're a really good organization, nice people. And on day one, you're going to go over a lot of these rules. These are taught to high school students, high school age students mostly?
Between middle school and high school students.
And high school. And on day one, you're going to go over a lot of these rules, like the rule of thirds, leading lines.
Yeah. And so my goal isn't to, when we do these critiques, and I think this is where that's coming from, because JCB, you submit a lot of pictures to our critiques, so you have your photos critiqued by us a lot. And we talk about these rules, and we talk about composition and all of those things. Because in traditional and classic photography, which is to capture a moment in time, whether that be of a person or a place, in order to create a strong photo, you do have to sort of follow some rules. But what makes a good photo, it's such a subjective thing. Like, what I like may not be the same thing that he likes, or that you like, or that anybody else likes. So we like to offer constructive feedback, and I think that helps a lot of you. It's not the final word in what makes a good picture, or what you should be doing. And you should break rules. You should break all the rules and experiment and do things that speak to you, and that just create things that come from your own vision. Because that's what this is all about. So if you want to do like more abstract or conceptual type of photography, or artistic fine art type thing, no one can tell you yes or no. I cut people's heads off a lot, and I know there's plenty of photographers that hate that. They hate it. But I like it. I think it brings attention to the eyes. I think it creates interesting pictures. I don't
cut the top of the heads off.
Right, like the top of the head.
Not the whole head.
No, sometimes I do. Sometimes they'll have a really interesting thing between their hands. They'll be holding hands, and I want to focus on that moment. And so, but then I do keep a lot of other sort of, principles, rules, things in mind. But yeah, I mean, follow your own rules. Pick whatever you like, what you don't like, and experiment. And, take our critique with a grain of salt, because we are just, we're critiquing images based on what appeals to us, and that's not necessarily what appeals to you.
I'd say rules are meant to be broken, and there are certainly lots of I think your question, I think you know the answer from the way your question kind of led, and that rules can be broken, and art can take many forms, strange or very linear, as in following the rules. Yeah. Who read that question? I did, but I'm going to do the next one. Are the Topaz plugin bundles for Lightroom worth purchasing?
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I've seen those Topaz. I think they're a really nice set of presets. You use
no comment.
No comment. Do you want to plug any presets?
I use Replichrome. I've used Visco in the past. I really like Replichrome. I haven't used Visco since Replichrome came out. And I am like super controlling about my editing, so I do tweak all of those presets to my liking, but I like Replichrome a lot. And it's sort of, these emulate the look of film somewhat. So yeah, so I like those.
Wow. There's a huge, I'm looking at the Topaz plugin bundle, $300 for the whole shebang. You can get 15% discount if you put in a little coupon code there. Lot of fancy stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's just too much. Like, at what point are you just focused on the editing and not on like the creating of the picture? Right. And you can do whatever you want, right. But. And
another option is Nik from Google. It seems very similar and a little cheaper. I think they're only $199 or maybe even $149.
Yeah.
So,
there's lots of stuff
out there. We're not sure.
So Replichrome is by Totally Rad, and they are a company that produces lots of other kinds of presets, not Replichrome, the film emulator. They produce a lot of other really nice presets, so if you want to check into presets, check those. There's also Alien Skin. They don't do Lightroom presets, but they do work with Camera Raw and Photoshop. So that's a little bit more, I think, involved type of editing, but it does a really nice job. I've used it, and it's quite nice. I like my system, so I haven't felt like I need to switch to Alien Skin. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. We're going to answer, I'd love to answer, there's so many more good ones on here, but
we need to cut it short.
We need to cut it short, and we will pick up some more of these next time. Paul asked about Cactus Flash systems. I haven't looked into the Cactus Flash systems. I do have a pair of the nice Yongnuo transceivers that I need to play with and do a little review. So look for that. He also is asking, when am I going to do more think before you click? Oh, soon. So soon. So soon. Oh, Roger has asked this. He asked this a while ago. So let's address this. Let's make this the last one.
Okay.
Tips on how to shoot outdoor subjects which are predominantly either white or black, which have some subtle detail in them. Basically, I saw his other question, which is a little more detail. Like shooting birds against a bright sky that have a black underbelly. How do you deal with this very high contrast situation where you want the detail?
Expose to the middle and then bring it back in Photoshop. Like,
or Lightroom even.
Or Lightroom in post-production. So that's what I do actually when I'm dealing with a scene with really high contrast. It's exposed, like your meter should be centered, your exposure should be super balanced so that you are not clipping any highlights or any shadows. And the picture will not look awesome right out of camera, but you can bring it back later to a very large extent if you're shooting raw. And then, you know, if you don't, and then also you can just prioritize what's most important to you. You know, if you're shooting a backlit situation, you want really, properly expose or overexpose skin tones. If you're photographing a person, you might still want to overexpose, and who cares about the sky? So it depends on the situation, but if you want to retain highlights and shadows in an image, balance your exposure perfectly, and then bring highlights back and shadows back in Photoshop.
You will have to shoot raw to be able to do that.
More or less, yeah. Most likely.
You're not going to be able to recover enough detail to make it worthwhile if shooting JPEG.
Yep.
Good. All right.
So that was all for today.
That was it. Packed full. Thank you so much for watching. What are you going to say, Ann?
Yeah, well, here's our
Flickr
Pic of the week.
Flickr Pic of the week. Here's mine. Here's Christina's.
Here's mine.
And while you are checking those out, thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And subscribe to the newsletter, both mine and David's. Links right down below. I'm going to start using my newsletter subscription a lot more. I got some really interesting, good conversation with a web developer the other day. My website, I don't want to call it horrendous, but it could be a lot better. And we're going to make some big movements towards better soon. Exclusive videos, exclusive tips. Just making up stuff. You gonna do those exclusive videos? I am not making up stuff. This is stuff we've talked about. But yeah, things that won't be readily available on YouTube for everyone to see. So there definitely are benefits to signing up for the newsletter. So do that. Yep. And we're gonna sign out as the light just reflects. As the light comes in, we're gonna go. We're going to play some angelic music and float off into the dreaminess. We're ranting way too much now. That's not a rant. Bye-bye. Thank you.